How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the protests happening right now in Hong Kong that have shut down their international airport. Now, there is a lot to quote-unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say, but I think a brief history lesson would be appropriate here so we understand the full context of what's happening and also what the eventual end game will be for not only Hong Kongers, but also the Chinese, who are not the same thing. When you're talking about law, let's go all the way back to the 1840s, the Opium War. The British and the Chinese are fighting over the sale of opium in China. Long story short, the Treaty of Nanking comes about in 1842. As a result, the Chinese cede control of Hong Kong to the British. So the British have it under their control. 1898, they signed a lease for 99 years. The lease was up in 1997. At that particular point in time, the Chinese gained control of Hong Kong back from the British, but not until they signed this joint declaration between the United Kingdom and China to give Hong Kong special rights. They call it basic law. They have the right to free speech and freedom of the press, and they have more autonomy than any other Chinese city. They can operate as a Western city, which is much different than mainland China because they're under the control of the Communist Party. The problem is that these laws are set to expire in 2047, 50 years from the actual 1997 handover date. And the issue is that China is not waiting until that particular point in time to basically gain control of Hong Kong fully and make it be another Chinese city. They are slowly but surely doing little things to take control of the Hong Kong region right now. And there have been protests almost every year to fight against that. On July 1st, 1997, that was the actual day that the British gave Hong Kong back to the Chinese. It's like a holiday. It's like the 4th of July. They celebrate it. It's fireworks, it's candy, all kind of stuff. But it's also a political rally. If there's any kind of hot button issue that needs to be discussed, and it usually centers around the sovereignty of Hong Kong. In 2014, you had the Umbrella Movement. That was as a result of the July 1st marches and movements, and that was to fight against Chinese interference in Hong Kong's elections. Now you have the Chinese trying to encroach upon Hong Kong's sovereignty as it relates to extradition. Long story short here, there was a Hong Kong couple that went to Taiwan for vacation. Two people go, the guy and his girlfriend, only one comes back, the guy. The guy confesses to killing his girlfriend eventually, who was also pregnant. But there's a dilemma. He already came back to Hong Kong from Taiwan, where the actual crime happened. There was no agreement to extradite between Hong Kong and Taiwan. So then there was one drawn up. That would not only affect the guy that did the murder, who confessed to it, but also all Hong Kongers. The issue is that it not only had language to extradite to Taiwan, but also to mainland China, to Beijing. Now, Hong Kongers realize if they allow that to happen, that's going to pretty much just kill them. The 2047 date is going to be here right now, because if the Chinese government in Beijing can interfere with what's happening in Hong Kong when it relates to the legal process, you're pretty much toast. They can come in and say, okay, you're engaging in things that are against the government. You're speaking against the Chinese government inappropriately. We're going to take you from Hong Kong, bring you to Beijing, and prosecute you there. So they're fighting against that. There have been thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in the streets for months fighting against this particular thing. The airport got raided by like 5,000 protesters, and they've been fighting against the same thing because they did kind of like table it. They're not going to do it right now. They've suspended the bill that included that language, extradite, but they have not totally killed the bill. So people are still protesting. And if I'm wrong about that, you guys let me know in the comments below. But that's the main thing it's about. It's about China trying to impose upon Hong Kong. Unfortunately, it may end very badly because, like I said, those laws that were put in place back in 1997 are set to expire in 2047. The Chinese are just trying to get a heads up on it right now. They're trying to do it slowly but surely so it won't come as a shock in 2047. So at that particular point in time, it may be a full-fledged war. Unfortunately for Hong Kong, they're a very small city. Shenzhen is right across the border. Literally, they got like 23 million people. Hong Kong is like 7 million people. Okay. And mainland China has like 1.3, 1.2 billion people. So, I mean, what can Hong Kong really do? I admire their resolve to maintain independent and sovereign place. And hopefully China does not encroach upon them too much, because their system may work for them to a certain extent, but Hong Kong is special. People that live in Hong Kong know that. The language is different, and that's something else they are fighting against. The Chinese are trying to impose Mandarin upon people in Hong Kong, but they speak Cantonese, not Mandarin. It's like English and Icelandic. It's not the same language. They're trying to prevent from becoming another Chinese city. It's interesting how they were under the Kingdom of Great Britain, and they kind of enjoyed that, and they don't want to go back to China. They don't want to be part of the communist government. That kills this whole idea about, British imperialists and Western capitalism being evil. Obviously, it's pretty good if you got people that are right there, basically in China, choosing to stick with the free and open and capitalist society versus one that is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. You see what they're picking. The issue with the airport is Hong Kongers being tired of the Chinese government trying to impose upon them their vision of what Hong Kong should be. They don't want to be another Chinese city. They want to be a special place, a semi-autonomous place. They don't want to have the oppressive regime beating their heads in every day. They want to be aligned more with the British system, with the Western system, with freedom, with the ability to make money on your own. They want to have that system be the way. And I think most of us on planet Earth want the same exact thing for ourselves, which is why everybody nearly in the world wants to come to America. We have that system here. We have the freedom of speech. We have the right to bear arms. We have all these rights and a beautiful country as a result of those rights. If we did not have those rights, if the government was to control every move, we'd be more like China, and the umbrella movement, the protests that are happening right now would be an everyday occurrence in all the cities in America. Some want to compare the people that are protesting right now in China to Antifa and Black Lives Matter. That's absurd. People that are protesting in Antifa and in Black Lives Matter, in my humble opinion, are driven by drugs, driven by emotion, driven by a lack of things to do, a lack of involvement in society. People that are out there right now protesting in Hong Kong, you get everyday people that are not trying to really fight or cause any kind of problems. All they want is for their particular nation to remain sovereign. You got bankers, lawyers, students, everybody out there, nearly the entire city. I think they said in one particular week or night, you had 2 million people in the streets. I could be wrong about that number, but I've seen some of the footage. Loads of people were out there peacefully protesting. Okay, most of the skirmishes you see come from the police trying to calm things down and get people out. Okay, if you get beat up in the airport, it's because they don't want you to be there. They're canceling all the flights. And that's a big international hub. So they're just trying to keep traffic flowing and planes being able to land. They're not really worried about anything else, in my humble opinion. So I think I'll leave that right there for now. So what say you? Do you think that Hong Kongers will be able to maintain their sovereignty and push the Chinese government away? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is it only a matter of time before they just totally succumb to the Chinese? I think what will happen is the Chinese will take over, but Hong Kong will still have a sense of sovereignty that is not quite the same as other Chinese cities. All right. Because they've been Hong Kong for a very long time, like 150 years. So you can't just change that with a few laws and trying to teach Mandarin. It's not really going to be the case. All right. It will not be the same as mainland China anytime soon. So I think they still will have a sense of independence and sovereignty, although they'll be part of mainland China in the end. Because like I said, those laws do expire in 2047. And at that particular point in time, how are you going to prevent China from coming in? All you can do is maintain as much of your sovereignty as possible and not allow them to totally dominate you culturally, from their language, from their political systems, and more. Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.